This is Eyewitness News at 10 with Dennis Anderson, Colin Ventrella, and Steve LePage.
Good evening, everyone. An upcoming school bond referendum in Superior will not have a reduced price tag despite tonight's efforts of the school board. At issue are the building of 2 new schools and the closing of 4 others. Sophia Vahamaki just returned from tonight's meeting, and Sophia, the price tag will stay at $47 million.
Right, Denny. The board had hoped to lower the cost of building the 2 schools, but $47 million is what voters will see on the ballot on November 2nd. Tonight, the board met behind closed doors to discuss costs and possible sites for a new elementary school and a new middle school. Board member Dave Tunnell says they don't want to cut corners on building, so a lower price tag will not happen.
It's not possible at this time, right? Because there's still a lot of unknowns into what will go into the construction of the buildings, and I would say that it's better not to cut out something necessary in the schools, so we're sticking with that number for now.
The proposal would close 4 Superior schools: Pattison Elementary, Blaine Elementary, Center Junior High, and East Junior High. The facilities have structural problems, and renovating them could cost more than building new. Although the state would provide 75% of funding, some citizens are concerned.
Schools. I mean, I am not opposed to getting new schools, but the price tag is pretty steep. And what I don't understand is if the state's going to pay 80% of it, why do we need such a high bond issue? Why can't, the state give us the money and we'll bond for the rest, and we'd get by for probably $14–15 million, which would not raise our taxes very much.
A yes vote will increase property taxes for those living in the district. Here's an estimate. The owner of a $100,000 home would pay about $174 more a year. That number is expected to drop after the first year. A task force has been set up to inform and educate the public about this bond referendum. Denny, anyone is welcome to attend that first meeting, which will be 1 week from tonight at 7 o'clock at Superior Senior High.
All right, certainly a big issue there. Thank you. The man accused of killing 2 people in Duluth's Glensheen mansion in 1977 is back in the news tonight. That's because Roger Caldwell's daughter, 45-year-old Christy O'Neill of Littleton, Colorado, killed herself on Tuesday after police found her mother's body in a makeshift coffin packed in 700 pounds of salt. O'Neill is suspected of murdering her mother, the former Mrs. Roger Caldwell, then committing suicide. O'Neill is the daughter of Roger Caldwell, who killed himself 11 years ago after he served jail time for the murders of Elizabeth Congdon and her night nurse Velma Pietola. The 2 were killed in June of 1977 in the Congdon Mansion on London Road. Caldwell was sentenced to life in prison, but the Minnesota Supreme Court overturned his conviction. Rather than face a new trial, Caldwell confessed to the murders and was released on time served. At this point, there is no explanation as to why Caldwell's daughter killed her mother. Police say the woman was smothered to death. The attorney for suspected kidnapper Donald Blum says he received a report today with new information about the Katie Poyer case. Public defender Rodney Brodeen says the report from the forensic anthropologist shows some of the bones on Blum's property are indeed human and that some are from a female between the age of 14 and 28. But he says they are not sure if the bones are Katie Poyer's. The report also says the tooth found on Blum's property may be Katie's.
What they say is that they feel at least some of the teeth are human, although there is some question as to that. They also feel that these teeth, or at least the teeth they've examined, are awfully small to have come from a human.
Earlier in the case, the tooth was ruled not to be Katie's, but investigators say they didn't compare it to all of the jaw, and now they are rechecking. Brodeen has found his own expert to study the bones and the tooth. He says these findings don't prove much. However, yesterday, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension told Katie's mother there's a strong possibility that the tooth is Katie's.
Until we have final results, I'm as confident as I was when I began the case.
Brodeen says his expert will start next week. The next step after that is to do DNA testing on the bone and the tooth, but Brodeen says at this point no one knows if the bones are even testable. Charges of making terroristic threats were filed today against a Duluth man accused of threatening construction workers and city police during a standoff earlier this week downtown. 28-year-old Matthew Fonger held police at bay for about 2 hours on Tuesday morning. He surrendered by lowering himself from his second-story window. Construction workers on the Technology Village had called police after Fonger yelled at them and waved what they thought was a gun. It turned out there was no gun. Police say Fonger had been up all night drinking and was upset by the construction noise. Fonger's bail is set at $700. Attorneys for Opus Development today responded to a lawsuit aimed at stopping the building of a Home Depot store at the intersection of Trinity Road and Central Entrance. Opus is asking that the lawsuit be thrown out. The city of Duluth filed papers earlier this week asking the same. In addition, the city is asking that Eric Ringsred and the others who filed suit be ordered to post a $400,000 surety bond to cover losses caused by delays to the project. Ringsred says the project violates city zoning codes and wetland production laws. The city attorneys say the project is up to code, and they accuse Ringsred of filing the suit to harass the city. They're asking that in the future, Ringsred be required to get prior court approval before filing any other suits against the city of Duluth. Disorderly conduct charges have been dropped against 3 Cloquet police officers. The men were ticketed last week in Superior following an incident at Louis' Cafe. They were up